Clarisse had always been the kind of woman everyone noticed. Beautiful, young, confident. She exuded an almost magnetic aura. In Abidjan, in the most expensive nightclubs, everyone was talking about her. They called her the boss lady, not just because she dressed like a queen, but because she acted like one. She walked in, she commanded, she chose. Wealthy men chased after her. Women envied her, and Clarisse? She basked in her glory. Her daily life was champagne, designer outfits, spontaneous trips with powerful men, selfies on the beaches of Zanzibar, dinners at the Sofitel, and photos posted at 1 a.m. with captions like, "Aim for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars." But behind all that success was one simple rule. My body, my currency. Clarisse didn't believe in love. She believed in power, comfort, and money. She slept with powerful men, often married, in exchange for fat envelopes, luxury watches, or international trips. And she never hid it. "I'm not stupid. While you're crying over a guy, I'm crying in front of a Chanel bag." But one night, at a private party in a luxury villa in Riviera, between vodka, laughter, and the jacuzzi, she let herself go too far. She couldn't quite remember the man's face, nor what was said. She just remembered waking up late, alone, and slightly nauseous. A few weeks later, a strange pain in her lower belly, then one missed period, then two, then three, one test, two red lines. She laughed at first, a nervous laugh. Me? A mother? Then she looked at herself in the mirror. The laughter turned to panic. This can't be happening to me. She tried everything, really everything. Black market pills, herbal concoctions from the village, dangerous massages from an old woman someone recommended. She even took a secret trip to Benin to see a traditional healer. But nothing worked. The baby held on, like a permanent reminder of her weakness, of her mistake. And worst of all, she didn't even know who the father was. She called 3 men, vaguely explained the situation. None took responsibility. One blocked her number. Another laughed in her face. The last coldly replied, "Not my problem." Meanwhile, her friends were living their best lives. One was in Dubai. Another had just opened a beauty salon in Cocody, funded by a minister. They posted bikini videos, drinks in hand, surrounded by billionaires. Clarisse, on the other hand, was home in sweatpants, bloated, in what she called hell. She stopped going out, avoided calls, watched her belly grow in horror. Every night, she cried alone. She spoke to the baby in her belly with bitterness. "I don't want you. You're ruining my life. You're a curse." But despite the tears and the hatred, the months passed. The day was approaching. And Clarisse knew one thing for sure. She didn't want this baby. Not in her life. Not in her world. August 3, 2005. Rain softly tapped the windows of Trikeville General Hospital. In a small delivery room, no flowers, no visitors, no smiles, Clarisse gave her final push. The doctor announced, "It's a girl, madam." The midwife placed the tiny, slimy baby on her stomach. Clarisse immediately turned her head and screamed, "Take her away. Do whatever you want with her." She didn't cry. She wasn't relieved. She wasn't happy. She just felt empty. That day, in her eyes, she hadn't given birth to a child. She had expelled a problem, a burden, an obstacle to her lifestyle. She refused to name the baby, refused to look at her. She just wanted to disappear. Elsewhere in the hospital, at that exact same moment, fate was writing a parallel chapter. Mr. and Mrs. Quadio, an immensely wealthy and powerful couple, had just faced tragedy. Their long-awaited first child was stillborn. The cord had strangled the baby just minutes before delivery. The shock was brutal. The wife was under heavy sedation, unaware of the loss. But the husband stood, face frozen, jaw clenched. A man feared by many business tycoon, deeply connected politically, always seen with bodyguards. But at that moment he was simply broken. He quietly called over a nurse. "Is there anyone here who doesn't want their baby?" The nurse hesitated, then nodded slowly. "There's a young woman," she said. "We could do whatever we wanted with the child. She even refused to breastfeed." The man asked to see her. Alone. He removed his soaked jacket, adjusted his gold watch, and followed the nurse to Clarisse's room. When Clarisse saw this stranger enter, she straightened up, wary. But there was no predatory look in his eyes, only the demeanor of a man both desperate and determined. He went straight to the point. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I lost my child today. A daughter too. My wife doesn't know yet. But me? I refuse to leave here empty-handed. Clarisse said nothing. She stared, half shocked by his cold composure. I'll give you 1 billion francs CFA in cash. No questions. No returns. You sign here, he said, pulling out a stack of official-looking papers. And you disappear. The silence in the room was heavy. Only the beep of a monitor broke the tension. 1 billion. Clarisse felt a rush of adrenaline hit her chest. 1 billion. In that instant, she already saw the cars, the trips, the revenge on the girlfriends who had moved on. She didn't even think of the child. Not for 1 second. She asked, the money? Now. The man gave a subtle nod. A bodyguard entered, holding a black bag. He opened it. There they were. Crisp, stacked bills, immaculate. Clarisse placed her hand on the bag, eyes sparkling. She had never seen so much money in her life. She grabbed the pen. She signed without even reading the papers. Without thinking. The man stared at her for a long moment. From now on you were never a mother. You never gave birth. You don't know this child. She is mine. Clarisse took the bag, struggling to rise from her bed, still sore from the delivery. She didn't look at the man or the nurse. She didn't ask where the baby was. She walked out of the room with a bag full of money and a heart devoid of emotion. In the corridor, she smiled, for the first time in months. That baby was going to ruin my life. Now she's just saved it. She left the hospital without looking back. Clarisse disappeared, for nearly a year. Long enough for rumors to die, for friends to stop asking about her, for social media to forget her name. But when she returned, she was a force. New neighborhood. New car. New body. Taxis were over. Now she rolled in a black Range Rover with tinted windows, always flanked by a discreet driver and a massive bodyguard. No more knockoffs. She wore only Dior, Balmain Jacquemus. Her figure was trim, her lips plumped, her curves sculpted. She was unrecognizable, more magnetic than ever. She launched a cosmetic line, Boss Skin. Influencers couldn't get enough of it. Within months, the products flooded luxury supermarket aisles and trending boutiques in Cocody. She also opened a beauty salon inside a chic villa turned aesthetic haven. Nails, spa, massages, fully booked weeks in advance. But the most striking thing was her presence. She shone again at every high-end Abidjan event. Launch parties, charity galas, billionaire birthdays. She arrived fashionably late like a true star, donning sunglasses and dresses you'd only see on global celebrities. Phones snapped upon her entry. Whispers trailed her everywhere. Where did she even go? It's like she's been reborn more powerful. What did she touch? What happened? Some claimed she secretly married a minister. Others swore she'd won the European lottery. A friend even insisted she'd been initiated by a high priestess in Ghana. But Clarisse stayed silent. When asked, she'd simply smile and say, I received a big inheritance, that's all. No one dared to press further. Her gaze made it clear. You don't want to know. She now socialized with a different crowd. Gone were the Yapagan nightlife haunts. She dined in Assigny, spent weekends in Lomé or Dakar, vacations in Marrakesh or Paris. The men who approached her were now businessmen, powerful figures, and she met them with distance. She already had everything she wanted. Clarisse had become a living legend. The kind of woman people talk about without ever truly knowing her. The one admired and envied. The one everyone copies but never matches. Yet behind the luxury shades, photo-ready smile and champagne bubbles, a buried truth remained. She had sold her daughter, and never, not even once, did she say her name. By 2025, Clarisse was 45. Still beautiful. Still elegant. Still called the boss, by those who only knew her on the surface. But on the inside, everything was different. The fatigue didn't show in her designer outfits, but it was there silent, muffled. She had more money than she could ever spend. The older she got, the more she realized her wealth filled nothing. She had known it all: parties, men, travel, trophies, appearances. Yet she had missed one thing: true love. She often wondered in private what had become of the child. She couldn't bring herself to say "my daughter." That was too heavy, too real. So she called her the baby. Sometimes, in sleepless nights, she wondered if she would recognize her if they crossed paths. Then she told herself no. 20 years was too long. And she had never seen her face at birth. One evening, she was invited to an orphanage charity gala. You know, those events where millions are donated to soothe conscience. Clarisse attended often to maintain her image, but that night felt different. A young woman took the stage, beautiful, vibrant, radiant. The room hushed as she spoke with confidence. My name is Ida Quadio. I am the founder of an Enfance, an Avenir Foundation. I was adopted at birth by a wonderful couple, raised with love and privilege. And now I give back to the world what was given to me. Clarisse felt something odd in her chest. A pain, a heat, an unfamiliar emotion. She didn't understand. Her gaze locked onto this young woman. There was something familiar, her gestures, a spark in her eyes. Then suddenly, like lightning, she saw it. The birthmark on Ida's left arm. A brown teardrop-shaped mark. Exactly the same one the doctor had shown her 20 years earlier before she turned her head away. Exactly the same. Time stopped. Sounds faded. Clarisse felt her breath catch. Her hands trembled. Her throat tightened. It was impossible. She rose abruptly, stumbling over a chair, then ran out of the building. The guards didn't dare stop her. She collapsed into the garden outside, retching. Her body shook. Repressed memories flooded back. The hospital. The money bag. The signature. The escape. She stayed outside for long minutes, frozen despite the heat. Then, just after midnight, back home, she spent the entire night searching. She Googled Ida Quadio, read dozens of articles, watched videos and interviews. Everything aligned. Born in 2005, adopted by Mr. and Mrs. Quadio after their own tragedy. A baby at birth. No details about the biological mother. But she knew. Clarisse knew what no one else did. She knew that this young, admired, respected, radiant woman was her daughter. And for the first time in 20 years, she whispered in the silence of her room, "I'm sorry, Ida." After that night of truth, Clarisse was never the same again. She no longer had an appetite. She couldn't sleep. She spent her days watching Ida's interviews, rereading articles about her, zooming in on the birthmark as if it might speak to her. The weight of the secret became unbearable. And the more she got to know Ida through her public appearances, the more she admired her. So Clarisse decided to act. She began attending every charity event where Ida would be present. Quietly in the background, always dressed modestly, without extravagance. One evening during a fundraiser auction for a school, their eyes met. Clarisse felt a warmth rise inside her. Ida smiled politely at her. It was the first spark. Several weeks later at a private dinner, chance, or maybe fate, placed them at the same table. Clarisse seized the moment. "Good evening, I'm Clarisse." "Oh, I know you," Ida said. "You're in cosmetics, right?" Clarisse's heart jumped. Ida knew her name. They talked about casual topics at first, humanitarian projects, youth, Côte d'Ivoire. Clarisse was fascinated. This young woman, so composed, so thoughtful, so brilliant, had everything. She carried grace, intelligence, and a rare kind of light. As the weeks passed, they crossed paths more often. Their conversations lasted longer. Clarisse grew attached. She laughed, but inside she was bleeding. One evening, as they chatted on a hotel terrace after a gala, Clarisse looked at her for a long time and said softly, "You remind me of someone I once knew. Someone I lost." Ida gave her a kind smile. "Do you have children?" Clarisse looked down. "It's complicated." Then on another evening, unable to hold it in any longer, Clarisse placed her hand on Ida's arm and whispered, "You have a birthmark on your arm. It's the same as mine." Ida frowned. "Excuse me? Are you okay, Madame Clarisse?" Clarisse felt her heart explode. Her body no longer obeyed her. She dropped to her knees. Tears burst forth. "I am your mother. I sold you at birth for money. I was young, lost, selfish. I'm ashamed. So ashamed. But I couldn't live with this secret anymore. I watched you grow from afar without you knowing. Forgive me." Forgive me, my child. The silence was deafening. Ida stepped back, stunned. Her face betrayed panic, confusion, pain. You're saying nonsense. You must be tired. I'm going to call someone. No. Ida, look at me. I'm your mother. The birthmark, it's the same. The day you were born, I didn't even dare look at you. But today I know. I recognized you. And I'm proud of you, even if I don't deserve to be. Ida stood frozen. She didn't cry, not yet. But something had changed in her eyes. A crack had formed in her perfectly constructed world. Clarisse stayed on the ground, broken, waiting for a sentence she knew she deserved. Ida disappeared for several days after the revelation. No message. No call. Clarisse thought she had lost her forever. But deep down she understood. She didn't deserve anything. She had simply dropped a bomb into a well-built life. A week later, she received a discreet summons to a medical office. Ida was there, cold, dignified. 2 DNA tests had been conducted. Both confirmed the same thing. Clarisse was indeed Ida's biological mother. No yelling. No dramatic gesture. Just a sentence, sharp as a knife, spoken in a calm voice. I am who I am today because you abandoned me. If you had kept me, maybe I never would have had this life. Maybe I would have grown up in poverty. Maybe I would never have become Ida. Clarisse tried to speak, but Ida raised her hand to stop her. I don't forgive you. Not today. Maybe never. But I don't hate you either. I can't hate the one who gave me life, even if she also gave me away. Clarisse felt her heart break a second time. But she didn't cry. Not this time. There was no room left for tears. Only emptiness. Ida stood, took her bag and left without looking back. From that day on, their bond remained suspended, fragile, silent. Clarisse continued her life in grand salons, designer clothes, high society dinners, but everything rang hollow. Wealthy, yes, but deeply empty. Ida, meanwhile, continued her rise. She became a respected public figure, an inspiration to the youth, a symbol of success and dedication. Sometimes their paths crossed at galas or conferences. A shared glance, a nod, nothing more. But within that silence lingered a memory, a story no one else knew, a past they both carried. And in that silence maybe a tiny hope, that one day, a door might open, even if only halfway.